Okay, hello. This is the second video of a three-part video series I'm doing on explaining in a little bit more depth the games-based approach to coaching and how it exactly works in terms of the juniors developing their skills. So this second video is a little bit delayed. I was hoping to do it sooner, but lots of things got in the way as always. But here we are, second part of the three-part series. If you've not watched the first one, please make sure you go back and watch that one before you watch this one, because hopefully then it'll all make sense and fall in line. So in that first video, we talked about how essentially it's more learning from the environment with the games-based or ecological approach, a little bit different to the traditional approach where the coach just gives the student the information. So as I say, if you've not watched that, make sure you go back and watch that. So in this second part, I'm just going to be talking a little bit more about how we would actually then coach within that game. So we talked about, again, in the first video, they're learning through the environment, these environmental affordances, they're learning to self-organize, but there are ways that I would then coach within the game. So one that I mentioned in the first video, again, if a junior's maybe struggling, just good questioning. So we can just ask them, how are you moving your club now? How might you want to move your club if you want to get it to go here? For example, very simple, if we want to hit it a little bit further, what could we do different? How could we swing the club different? Could we maybe choose a different club, etc., etc.? So one simple way is just when the juniors are playing the game, just through good questioning. Now another way, and this is a really great way to help coach within the game, is what we call constraints. So basically it's again, you just using the environment, and we would add or take away things to the environment. We can add or take away things in terms of what the person is using as well. And it just essentially guides them towards a different way of moving, a different way of solving the problem. So here's a very simple example of constraints, and literally this happened on Sunday in a group coaching session. So part of the game was trying to get the golf ball in with a chip shot to hit Winston here. Okay, so we'll leave this for a second. So there's a junior in particular, when they were hitting their chip shot trying to hit Winston, every time they were hitting their chip shot, the ball was going to the left. Kept going to the left, kept going to the left, kept going to the left, kept going to the left. So I can, in that instance, jump in, give them information to try not hit the ball to the left. Or I can guide them towards a way of not hitting the ball to the left, where I'm not going to give them the information. So it still fits in with the games-based approach. They're still going to learn through self-organization, which in the third video, I'm going to explain why I think this is so beneficial for juniors in particular. So I can just constrain, I can guide. So as part of this game, we have the guards. You don't want to hit the guards. That's a bad thing, because they're trying to collect gold. If they hit the guard, they have to give back a piece of gold. So this junior is hitting it to the left, hitting it to the left, hitting it to the left. What I can go ahead and do is I can pop the guard right here. All I've done is added an environmental constraint. So now they don't want to hit it left, because that is bad. They do not want to hit a piece of gold back. So now, hopefully, if it works well, they are going to have to do something different. They are going to think about having to think about aiming differently, having to think about moving their club differently to make sure that they do not hit the ball to the left. And so, again, through self-organization, they are learning to move the club differently. They are maybe learning to stand to aim differently in order to not hit the guard. And it actually worked really well in this particular session. This person just improved their aim. They just simply got the club face pointing more right. They were simply aiming left. They started aiming at Winston, and they started hitting Winston a little more with a bit more consistency, or if they missed to the right. So again, they have then learned a different way to move the club, but I haven't given them the information. I've just added a constraint into the environment that has guided them towards learning a new way of moving. And there is infinite different ways we can add constraints. We can do loads of things with the club. We can, with chipping, we can put something on the ground. We can force them to move their swing in a different way. We can put a bottle on the ground. We can put something by the foot. We can add loads of things to the environment, like a guard. We can make it shorter. We can make it further away. There is just so many different things we can do to constrain. And again, I really like this approach, because it's steering away from information processing, which again I'm going to get onto in the third video, is I just think a more appropriate approach for juniors. Now the last thing to say with this, obviously we've got within the game, as I mentioned, we've got some good questioning we can do to help coach them within the game. We've got adding constraints as I've just explained in many different ways. But as well, sometimes it may well come down to information processing and for me to simply just tell them, because sometimes questioning won't work, adding a constraint won't work. That absolutely happens. It can happen in this particular instance, if we use this for an example again, where the junior will continue to hit it left and continue to hit the guard even with the constraint. So there are absolutely times within a game when I will get hands on, I will move the club for the junior, I will tell them how to move, I will tell them how to hold it, etc, etc. But here is the key thing with that: I'm only doing it to give them more success in the game. I'm not doing it as in we've come here today and we're going to learn how to move our club in this direction or on this line, etc. Because again, and I'm going to get onto this in a third video again, that doesn't interest the junior. The junior is interested in playing the game, feeling a certain level of competence and having a certain level of success in the game. So if I don't think the question is going to work, or the questioning is not the best way to go about this with the student or the junior, and I don't think constraining is going to work, sometimes it is quicker, it's easier, it's most efficient, it's the most appropriate option to tell a junior how to move the club for them, to tell them to do this, to tell them to do that. Again, but it's purely to allow them to have more success within the game. I'm not then telling them that to expect them to go away to practice, to work on the things in the swing that I've directly told them, because again, that's just not appropriate for the majority of juniors. I'm telling them that to allow them to have more success in the game. Over time, if we continue to do that, then their swing may well change and improve over time through me directly telling them. But again, the medium through doing that has just been through them playing the game, completing the task, completing the challenge. So that was a little bit more talking about obviously how we would coach within the game in video 2 here. Video number 3 hopefully won't be as delayed as video number 2. I'm going to basically talk about why I think this approach works so well with juniors and all the benefits to this games-based ecological approach to coaching. Thanks for watching. Let me know, as always, if you have any questions, want to discuss any of this, think it's absolute nonsense. I love talking about it, love having a discussion, so feel free to reach out and get in touch. Thanks for watching.